The Keeper of the Flame. The Pyre of the Eternal Flame stood atop the desolate cliffs of Greyhold, a solitary beacon that had burned for centuries. The flame was said to be a gift from the gods, a spark of divine purpose meant to guide the weary and the lost. But the path to the pyre was treacherous, shrouded in storms and haunted by creatures born of despair. Few who sought its light ever reached it, and fewer still understood its purpose. Eadric of Blackmere climbed the winding path, his cloak whipping around him in the howling wind. The sky above was black with storm clouds, and the air was thick with the scent of rain and ash. He had been walking for days, driven by the faint glow of the flame on the horizon. Each step was a battle against the elements, but Eadric pressed on, his mind focused on the questions that had plagued him for years. At last he reached the summit. The eternal flame burned at the center of a stone platform, its light unwavering despite the storm. Beside it stood a figure draped in a cloak of crimson and gold, their face hidden beneath a hood. "You've come far, Slayer," the figure said, their voice both ancient and resonant. "But do you know why you are here?" "I seek the flame's wisdom," Eadric replied, his voice steady despite the exhaustion that weighed on him. "I've fought dragons, faced my fears, and carried the weight of my failures. But still, I wonder, what is it all for? What is the purpose of this endless fight?" The Keeper nodded slowly, their movements deliberate. "Purpose is not given, Slayer. It is forged, like a blade in the fire. The eternal flame reveals not the answer, but the path to it. To claim its light, you must endure its trial." Eadric's hand instinctively moved to the hilt of vigilance. "What trial?" The Keeper gestured to the flame. "Step into the fire, and it will show you the truth. But be warned, the truth is not always what we wish to see." Eadric hesitated. The flame's light was inviting, almost comforting, yet its heat radiated an undeniable intensity. To step into it was to embrace the unknown, to risk losing himself entirely. But he had not come this far to turn back. Eadric stepped forward, the heat of the flame washing over him like a wave. He took a deep breath and plunged into the fire. The world dissolved into light and heat. Eadric felt as though he were being pulled apart, his thoughts scattering like ash in the wind. Images flashed before him, memories of battles fought, comrades lost, and moments of triumph and despair. Then the images changed. He saw a village burning, its people crying out for help. He saw himself standing on the battlefield, his sword raised, his face twisted with rage. He saw the dragons he had slain, their blood staining his hands. And then he saw himself, older, wearier, standing alone in a wasteland. His sword lay broken at his feet, and his eyes were hollow. "This is your future," a voice said, deep and resonant. "An endless cycle of battle and loss. Is this the purpose you seek?" Eadric clenched his fists. "No, there must be more." The flame flickered and the scene shifted. He saw himself standing before a group of young warriors, their faces filled with determination. He was teaching them, guiding them, his words a spark that ignited something within them. "This is another path," the voice said, "to pass on what you have learned, to inspire others to carry the flame. But it is not an easy path. It requires sacrifice and humility." Eadric closed his eyes, his heart heavy. The truth was clear. He had a choice to make. He could continue to fight, to burn himself out in the endless struggle against darkness, or he could become a guide, a keeper of the flame for those who would come after him. When Eadric emerged from the fire, the storm had subsided. The Keeper stood waiting, their gaze inscrutable. "You have seen the truth," they said. "What will you do with it?" Eadric looked at the flame, its light steady and unwavering. He thought of the warriors who would one day stand where he now stood, seeking purpose as he had. He thought of the lives he could save, not through battle but through wisdom and guidance. "I will carry the flame," he said, his voice resolute, "not for myself but for those who will follow." The Keeper nodded. "Then you are no longer a slayer. You are a keeper. Go, and let your light guide others." As Eadric descended the cliffs of Greyhold, The eternal flame's light followed him, its warmth a constant presence at his back. He felt lighter than he had in years, as though the burden he had carried for so long had transformed into something else, something he could share. The road ahead was uncertain, but Eadric no longer feared it. He would continue to fight when necessary. But his purpose had shifted. He would not merely slay dragons, he would kindle the flame in others, ensuring that the light would never fade. The eternal flame burned on, its light visible for miles, and in the quiet halls of Albion, whispers began to spread of a slayer who had become a keeper, a man who carried the fire of purpose, lighting the way for others to follow.